Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Burlingame. It's a small town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. My name is Mark Lucchese, also known as Mark at the Mic, and my guest today is, with 1 year under her belt, the new CEO of the Burlingame Chamber of Commerce, Susan Baker. Susan Baker, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Mark, thank you. I am so excited to be here with you.
As long as you're excited and not nervous, Susan. Okay, so, I think before we get going here, why don't we explain to everybody what a Chamber of Commerce is and what's the purpose of a Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, of course. A Chamber of Commerce really basically is a group of businesses that support the interests of its members. Those who join the Chamber, we can help them build a network for them, help them market their business. Small business owners, you're always looking for new ways to market and to grow the business, and joining a chamber can really help you with that.
You just completed your first year, your rookie year, I guess we would call it, and I'm sure it was a very busy year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that first year?
Well, Mark, the first year was like climbing a mountain. I'll tell you, it was a huge learning curve. There are so many facets to the job. I am very fortunate to have a great supportive board of directors. Along with my board and Georgette Naylor, who was my predecessor, agreed to stay on as a consultant. I'm going to tell you, last year was our first year back after being locked down during COVID. And Art on the Avenue Festival, we brought that back, and it was a very big success. And people loved it, and they truly, truly supported the event. And we can't forget our farmers market. It's been our constant. These are the types of events our community wants to see, and we're really excited that we're part of that and can bring that to them. My job was, like running a small business, a lot of diversity for the position, but also a lot of different aspects. Social media, of course, the mixers, farmers market, our festival. There's literally everything from A through Z. And I'm loving every minute of it.
That's great. So what were you doing prior to running the chamber, before you got this job?
I managed a conference center in Redwood City. It was called Seaport Conference Center. It's about an 8,000 square foot building, and we hosted conferences, training, special events, and also, believe it or not, a nationally certified testing center. And I was there for about 17 years. And prior to that, I worked at the San Mateo County Expo Center as their marketing director.
Great. Now, getting back to the chamber itself, how many years has the Burlingame Chamber of Commerce been in existence?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. If I recall correctly, it's been more than 90 years.
My gosh.
And you know what, Mark? Can I give you a little trivia about chambers?
Sure, go right ahead.
The very first chamber was established in France in 1599.
My God.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and in France. Wow.
Well, the U.S. got on board, and their first chamber was established in 1912. And today, chambers, they really do exist all over the world. And it's an incredible, diverse organization.
Yeah. Is there a mother chamber? In other words, a mother chamber here in the U.S. that everybody has to sort of report to or send reports to and give statistics and et cetera?
There's an organization that supports the entire United States. We're affiliated with the Western Association of Chamber Executives. Mm-hmm. So they bring legislation to us. They give us information. They're a great resource to have.
Do they give you any financial help?
They tell us where we can find financial help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a lot of, during COVID, a lot of grants, and as you probably already know, that existed. You just had to apply, and they definitely offered those to chambers as well.
Right. Right. And do they expect certain numbers out of each chamber? In other words, we'll get to the membership in a bit, but are they expecting you to have X amount of numbers and grow your business or grow the chamber?
It's more about supporting. It's not about the numbers. Many areas, the chambers are small. Their cities are smaller. There are also larger chambers like Los Angeles, Long Beach, San Francisco. So it's really just accepting and appreciating what we bring to the table. It's
Right.
not so much the membership, the number of people.
Yeah. So how does the Burlingame Chamber of Commerce make any money? In other words, how do you get your salary? What's the whole bit? How do you bring money in?
Right. It's really interesting. We have members, and so members, they have dues that they pay annually. And what does that encompass? We certainly want to help them promote their business. We feature them in our newsletters as well as social media. And our website. We have mixers that they can network through. We have advocacy that we help them if there's an issue, and we can connect the right people to them. There's that. There's our festival, our fresh market, and those are also revenue sources. We're not in the business per se to make money. We are a service-oriented business and supporting our membership.
Okay, membership. Let's talk about numbers for a moment. How many businesses do we have in Burlingame, more or less?
Okay, Mark, that's a tough question. This is an extremely rough estimate.
And that's okay. I need an estimate to go with. That's fine.
Okay. I believe we have about 700 businesses in the major retail districts. I would include the downtown area, Broadway, Burlingame Plaza. This all probably includes all retails, personal service, office businesses. Probably there's at least 100 more throughout the Bayfront or other pockets in the city.
So out of all of those, Susan, how many are actual chamber members?
Right now, we have roughly 200 plus businesses.
That doesn't seem like many to me, to be honest with you.
It's
lower than I thought you would say.
Yes, it is. And there's reasons for it.
Of course. So let's get into some of those, okay?
Yeah.
So just let me ask you something before we go there. Was the number larger before the pandemic, and then you lost quite a few members, and now you're trying to get them back? Is that how it's working?
Absolutely. So there was a trend during COVID that many of the chambers decided to exempt people from renewing their membership for the 1 or 2 years. And then we've been finding that businesses are still trying to recover, and so they're not quite as amenable to staying a member. So those are the businesses that we're going to be working on. So yes, it was larger before. I know that there was like 350, 400 members, and we're going to get there, Mark.
So when you say about 350, 400, is that the peak, or was it greater back in maybe the 90s, 80s, 70s, or 60s, something like that?
It was a peak. You're absolutely right. It was over 500 members.
Yeah, boy, and then over time, attrition, et cetera. The chamber is experiencing the same sort of downfalls or losing members as Rotary is, Lions is, the churches are. Attendance at Mass is down. We just had Father Michael at Rotary speak about that last week. And he wasn't just speaking about the Catholic Church, he was speaking about all the churches are losing attendance. People aren't joining organizations anymore. So I get that. So speaking about that, what's kind of the average fee to join a chamber? I've got a new business now in Burlingame, and I got less than 10 employees. What are you going to charge me?
Great question. There is a range. There's different categories. But for example, just to start, it's about $175. The category can be nonprofit, and also dependent on number of employees. And then, there's hoteliers, apartments, hospitality, different category. You have your professional category like doctors, attorneys, manufacturers, wholesalers. So there's really a lot of different categories.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards, huh?
Yes, it is.
So a new business comes to Burlingame. Who reaches out to them to join the chamber? How's that process done?
So we get a report. So we work really closely with the city, and we get a report from the city that shows us the new businesses that are coming into town. And so it is our job to contact these businesses and educate them as to what the value is to join the chamber.
Is that a phone call or in person?
It's the phone call and it's an email. And believe it or not, people prefer emails these days.
Yeah, they do. They can read them at their leisure instead of having to answer the phone right away and putting you off and stuff like that.
Right. Right. That's true.
Just maybe this is a little curveball question, and I really don't want to do that, but without mentioning names, what's the most you would charge a business? Is there like a max?
Yeah, it probably about $950.
That's depending on this. Is it based on their sales as well? In other words,
It's mainly the type of business and the number of employees.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm a new member. I've joined the chamber, and I'm going to say to you, so what's in it for me? Okay.
That's a great question. That's really a great question. And you know what I believe in moving forward? I believe in inclusivity. And what I mean by that is I'm on the phone, I'm pounding the pavement, I'm talking to people. I want to understand what their needs are. Yours may be different from the next person. And so what does that look like for you? So how do we bring all of the diversity and all what we can bring to you if you don't know about it? Mm-hmm. So it could be anywhere from we're helping you support your social media, we're helping you with advertising, we're making sure you're aware of our mixers that we produce, to our new business that needs PG&E, and they come to us and they say, hey, this is our issue. They've been changing their inspection for the last 3 months, and they have just continuously postponed it. Can you help us? Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, with the support of our local officials, as well as our county officials and state officials, we have successfully helped people with large organizations like PG&E.
Yeah, that's great. That's nice to have somebody helping you out or fighting for you a little bit. So once somebody comes on board, a new business comes on board, and you've sold them they've drank the punch and they want to become members and all that good stuff. Do you have like an onboarding thing for them? Do you have T-shirts, mugs, hats? What's going on there?
So in the end, the short answer is yes. The long answer is I had a retreat 2 months ago, and one of the areas that we're fully concentrating on is membership. And so we are looking at bringing in and currently identifying what is synonymous to Burlingame. What can we give them because they belong to our community? And
so you're brainstorming a gift like that, something like that?
Exactly.
Great. So talk to me about these mixers. I see them publicized every so often, or maybe once a month. Am I seeing it once a month?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks.
And what goes on in a mixer?
So we typically have just a group of people that come. Historically, there probably was 20 to 30 people in attendance. And I'm happy to tell you the last 2 mixers, and we have one tomorrow night, are drawing an attendance of 90 to 130 people.
And are they all members or non-members, or you get a mixed bag in there?
So they're really a member-based event. However, we encourage our members to bring in guests.
Okay. Are you charging members to come to the mixer?
No.
What can they expect when they get there?
So besides a nice glass of wine and some wonderful appetizers, they're really mixing and talking to each other, different businesses, and we're connecting all of them.
So you don't necessarily have a speaker at one of those gatherings. It's just people coming in, saying hello and everything like that. And so what if somebody, again, I'm new, and I'm coming to my first mixer, What am I going to do? Just stand there and be a wallflower? How am I going to be? Who's going to mentor me?
Right. So, believe it or not, Burlingame is unique in itself. And it's been my observation that everybody's working the room. Hi, my name is. And wherever we host the mixer, that business is the featured business. So they speak about their business.
Okay.
So there's a two-part. And then we also have, we collect business cards. We have a raffle. So that's kind of a fun component to have.
Yep.
So I have been told by many people that our mixers are really beneficial.
How do you decide where a mixer is going to be?
So so there's two parts to that. One is new businesses want to be recognized. They want the community to come and see them. So they typically will ask if they can have a mixer and a ribbon cutting. Then we have other businesses that want the exposure and the recognition. So we'll talk about creative ways that we can bring in a mixer to their establishment. And it could be, you know what, we moved from Broadway to Burlingame Avenue. Great, let's have a mixer for the fact that you relocated. It's our 10th year anniversary. Can we do something? Absolutely. Let's have a mixer. Let's look at that. Let's bring community there. So it's really kind of tailored to each individual business.
Okay, along those lines, and let's say you're going to have some wine and some hors d'oeuvres and things like that. Who's funding that? The business that's hosting the event, or does the chamber kick in on that, or how does that work?
Well, typically the venue or the business will host that.
Okay, great. And then they have to expect maybe, I don't know, 50 guests, 50 to 100, something like that, or...
Yeah, it depends. I think the smaller venues, attract smaller number of people, and the larger venues attract larger number of people.
Yeah. Is there a particular night of the week that you usually have those on?
It seems to be most successful midweek, not on Mondays or Fridays.
Right. And can I'm assuming a member can bring a fellow employee to the event, to the mixer?
Absolutely. They can, and honestly, I've had people that say, I have 3 people that I want to bring with me, can I? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah. Strength is in the numbers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you like a full room, of course. So let's talk about the board of directors. How many directors are on the board?
Well, we currently have 16 board members. They do represent such a different, diverse community. We have representation from Burlingame Avenue, Broadway, just to name a few. And of course, we have county representation as well. We have someone from the Humane Society and Recology.
Yeah, I was interested. I took a look at the board members, and you have, let's see, 1 or 2 guys from the hotels?
That is correct. We typically have a couple of people from the hotel industry.
And the one that surprised me was Meta, Facebook. You have somebody on the board from, what do you call it, Meta or Facebook?
It's called Meta these days.
Yeah. Does he want it to be said that way, or can you call it Facebook? It doesn't matter, I guess, huh?
They changed believe it or not, they did change their emails from Facebook to Meta. So
Wow.
I think their branding is now focused on being Meta.
So where do you guys meet? Where's the board meet?
We typically meet at a restaurant that can accommodate our numbers. A lot of times we'll have guest speakers. We had Supervisor Pine there. We've had Senator Becker speak. And we do a lot of other presentations at our board meetings.
Great.
So it needs to accommodate probably about 20 to 25 people.
Good. That's great. How often do you guys meet?
We meet once a month.
Once a month? And it's the same, like every Tuesday or something like that?
Right.
Probably noontime?
Right.
Yeah, I did a little
Second
research.
Tuesday.
I did a little research.
Noontime. Yes.
Okay, let's say I'm a non-member of the chamber, and I know that you're having a board meeting. Can I drop in?
Well, it's lunch, so it's all like pre-ordered, and so that could be problematic. So it's not just on a drop-in basis, but certainly if there's somebody that was interested, they would call the chamber office and we could
make an
arrange.
appointment and say, hey, I'd like to have lunch. I want to see what this whole thing is all about.
Exactly.
Before I decide to join.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So what's the deal here with Broadway? Is the chamber planning anything to kind of stimulate business on Broadway?
Funny that you should ask. Right now we're getting together the both D bids, the Burlingame Avenue D bid and the Broadway D bid.
Can you explain to our listeners what that is?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It's the business improvement district for the two what we term as downtowns. And so it's made up collectively of not only retailers, but any type of business within their specific areas. And so the chamber and the two downtown businesses, business improvement districts, and the city, we're all going to get together and we're all going to brainstorm. And I think the focus, I believe, is to be on community in its entirety. Mm-hmm. And yes, it is a challenge because we have two downtowns, but it's not impossible.
No, it's not. Would you ever consider rotating the, and I'm not sure how I'm going to say it correctly, but the art festival, is that what it's called now, the art festival, going back and forth, or is it just locked into Burlingame Avenue every year?
Mark, you might have to join the board. I didn't even think of that. That's a wonderful question you
just
posed.
rotating it back and forth so the guys on Broadway can get a little exposure. Because I know it draws a lot of people.
It does. Now, don't forget that Broadway also has the pet parade.
Susan, I'm not going to go there right now, okay? I know that does great with the families and all that good stuff, but, between that and the art festival, then good. Put the pet festival on Burlingame Avenue and move the art thing over to Broadway. I'm kind of an advocate of Broadway. How's the Fresh Market going?
Fresh Market's going very, very well. It's really our staple.
Yeah.
It's really our constant.
Do you know approximately how many vendors show up on a particular Sunday?
Absolutely. We typically have about 50 to 60 vendors. Peak season, you're going to have probably 65.
And what about, I know Thursday nights are not in yet till what, about May? Is it April or May?
It's May. It's during daylight savings time.
Yeah. And how does that turn out? And would you get the same vendor on Sunday and on Thursday night, or is it a different group of people come in?
So typically they're a crossover. Mm-hmm. Occasionally there's a one-off, but very occasionally. It just doesn't have a lot of people attending the Thursday market. So they're really looking for their organic vegetable vendor. And strawberries are like the most popular vendor that we have on Thursday markets. Yeah. People specifically come for that.
And the bread vendors seem to be pretty popular, correct, on Sundays?
Very popular.
Yeah.
Very popular.
Any thoughts of merging the chambers with our sister cities like San Mateo and Millbrae, anything like that? Any thoughts of that?
There's some trends that's going on right now where South County, they've merged Redwood City, San Carlos, Belmont, and soon to add Menlo Park. So there has been talk about that. We are happy where we're at right now, but that's not to say that's going to be what the future holds.
Yeah.
But currently, we're a strong chamber, and my board loves what we're doing.
Great. Well, as a former board member, I didn't say that earlier. I wanted to put that in now. I think it's great what you guys are doing. Georgette was wonderful. You're doing a great job. Your first year had to be a tough one coming off the pandemic. Congratulations on getting through that first year. You're that much smarter now, Susan. So.
Oh my gosh, Mark, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you to discuss this.
Susan Baker, thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I'd like to thank Susan Baker for being my guest today on Burlingame. It's a small town podcast. Thanks to Kathy and Shelby for editing and producing. And my musical director, Bray. You can hear more of Bray at bray.com. This conversation was recorded on Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. The Burlingame Historical Society copyrights this podcast, and no part of this program can be rebroadcast or copied without the permission of the Burlingame Historical Society. So until next time, everyone, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.